Bambiz Marketing presents Elder Law Growth, the podcast that helps elder law and estate planning attorneys attract clients without wasting time or money. I'm your host, Amy Hurst. Let's dive in. Hey, Elder Law Growth. We are here live doing our podcast. We're about day 6 on the big ship. The team of Bambiz has come together to come up with new, fantastic ideas of how to do marketing for you. And in this podcast episode, I have Liz. Liz is part of the Bambiz team, and we're talking about workshops. What's working and what's not. Liz, thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course. I'm happy to be here with you.
Yeah, so workshops. So for a while there, workshops weren't happening because of COVID, right?
Yeah.
Like, everyone had to pivot really fast in 2020. They had to pivot, they had to go virtual. But now, things are going back.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting, and I know for our clients, workshops are like the bread and butter, and it's working out really well, and now we've got the expert with us. So let's talk about workshops.
Yes, so workshops are making a comeback, and we have several clients who are just totally killing it recently. Crushing their workshops. So I would say the national average is probably about per lead, $75 per lead on ad spend. And we have some that are coming in at $10, $18, $20. And a lot of them are newer clients too.
What?
Newer clients,
Wow.
New areas, new cities. Montana has always been a really good one that has come in real low. But yeah, totally crushing it and like surprising us. Even $20 leads in California. You cannot beat $20 leads around like the LA area.
So I'm an elder law attorney, and I'm starting from scratch. I don't have the budget to pay a wonderful marketing team like ourselves. Bambiz.
We're worth every penny.
So I'm about to do workshops, and you just touched on a really good point that I'm curious about. Video versus image only in my ads for my workshops. Which one would you recommend that I go with?
If you could only go with one, video does better most of the time all day long. Sometimes a static image that, has some verbiage on it that like really screams and targets that certain person will work. But it also depends on like the quality of the video. Like the quality of the video needs to be good. It needs to be, a very catchy and have a good strong CTA and a good hook. Oh, yes, call to action. A good hook to attract people.
What's a good hook to attract people?
Ooh.
Let's spill the beans. Can we spill the beans, Liz?
I don't know. Are we allowed?
I think
I don't want to get in trouble.
Let's share what a good hook is.
So in the elder law and estate planning arena, I would say one that is used quite often is, what's the difference between a trust and a will, and which one do you need?
That is,
or do you
such
need
a big
both?
Question. So that hook. So I could start out with that question.
Yeah.
That's a really good way to hook anybody. That's why it's called a hook, obviously.
Yeah,
and that's probably the number one question that elder law and estate planning attorneys get is, what's the difference between a will and a trust? That's a great way.
Do you need both? Do you only need one? That's what we have elder law and estate planning attorneys for.
That's a really good way. Okay, so that's a really good way to start out a video if I wanted to advertise my workshops. That's a great tip, Liz.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and then obviously you have to put some body in there of some other things, who you are, what you do, and then you need to end with a strong call to action. So you're telling them what to do. You want them to sign up? Click the link below to sign up.
I cannot tell you how many ads I've seen on Facebook where there's no next step.
Yeah, they don't tell you what to do, and then you're like, okay, what do I do?
Yeah, right. It's just, that was a nice video, and then you just keep scrolling, and then you forget about the ad.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so having that strong next step at the end, which kind of feels salesy, but it's not. It's completely necessary to have that in there. So probably the CTA would be sign up for my workshop.
Click the link to register. sign up for my workshop.
Because it seems like a no-brainer, but believe me, there's a lot of ads out there where they don't make that obvious at the very end of your video for your workshop is click the link
right
to come to my workshop. There's no urgency there.
And how you set up the ad. So you have to know how to properly set up an ad, right?
What does that even mean though? Like how do we properly set up an ad?
So say if we're running an ad in Jacksonville, Florida, 30 days a month, and we're only targeting a certain amount of people, those certain amount of people are going to see the ad over and over and over again. And so if you're running your workshops, which I know some attorneys, this is their style of how they fill their workshops, and they bring clients in, is running workshops once or twice a week and just constantly running them.
That's pretty frequent.
Your ad spend is going to be more, because if you're only targeting, and I'm just going to throw out a random number, 80,000 people, then those 80,000 people are going to go through the ad so many times, and then either they've already clicked on it or they're just not interested. So, and from what I have seen, it's truly better to only run your ad once or twice a month. So,
that's a pretty good tip.
So, and then, because we had someone in Texas recently who, I think he got 55 leads and 80 attendees to an in-person workshop at about $18 a lead.
Oh my gosh, that's a home run.
Right, exactly. And he's in a big city in Texas.
Wow.
One of the major cities in Texas. And so for things like that, that's where it's like you're better off running, doing 1 or 2 workshops a month, targeting for just that time, pulling the ad, letting it die down, and then turning it back on the next time you want to run a workshop.
So something that you touched on earlier that I really want to circle back to was all the stuff that happens before the actual workshop itself.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that, because obviously workshops are important because that's where you come in and that's where you get to really work the crowd and get those consultations set up. But I think what a lot of people don't realize is how much work goes into it before the workshop even begins.
Right. I can't stress enough about as much as the ad, and the ad copy is really important. The landing page is so important too.
Why is the landing page though?
So if you pull up a landing page and it's not giving you a direct call to action, or if it's not giving you the information that you want to see, where they say above the fold, which is basically if you open your computer and you open a website, anything that doesn't make you scroll is above the fold, then you could lose people, especially in the elder law and estate planning arena, because you're targeting people who might not know technologies as well as other, or the younger generations. So it's really important that your landing page is just as well written and tested as the ad copy.
So make sure that the landing page is just as well written as ad copy. And I cannot tell you how important that is, because say you're an elder law attorney, and I'm scrolling through Facebook and I see your ad, and the copy, the words that are with your ad are very optimistic. There's a very positive vibe with this ad that I'm looking at, and I think, ooh, Liz is a very positive attorney. I want to go see Liz in person at her workshop. I click on Liz's ad, and it sends me to a landing page, and it's a flip where the tone of the page is very negative. And I get why landing pages would be more than negative, because they're trying to press that urgency. You don't want to die without a plan in place. Obviously, things can get negative really fast.
Right.
And there's definitely a time and place for negative copy. I'm not saying that isn't bad. That isn't good or bad or anything like that. But if the tone in the ad copy does not match the landing page,
that sends a very mixed message. So I think what Liz just said just now is so vital. Absolutely. Okay, so let's say I do the ads, I do the landing pages, I send out the emails. It's the day of my workshop, my first workshop. What would be some key strategies from your point of view as the workshop master for Bambiz? That's what I'm going to call you, the workshop master. Because you are literally live and breathe this all day, every day. She is the expert. So I'm doing my workshop. What are some key strategies to do or not do that you can think of that would help our audience to do or not do in their workshops to make the best bang for their buck, to get the highest return and get those people who showed up to actually convert?
Let's say you've already got them on your Google spreadsheet. The most important thing leading up to the workshop and then when you're at the workshop is, number one, follow up. And I cannot stress enough how many times you have to follow up.
It's not just once, guys.
No. Email, text, call, voicemail. I mean, every single way is a good way. And then once you have everyone there at the workshop, have them sign in so that you know who showed up and who didn't.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah,
so because I'm just going to throw out some numbers. Say you get 80 people who attendees say they're going to come. And you have 50 people who showed up. You now have a name of all those 50 people that showed up. You can now follow up with them and thank them for being at the workshop. But then you can also circle back to the other 30. Follow up with them again. Hey, sorry you missed the workshop. Would you like to come to the next one? Or would you like me to send you a recording? Or whichever way your platform works best.
Yeah, because those people, those 30 people who didn't show up, they're still hot leads.
Right. They clicked on your button. They gave you their phone number and email address and everything else.
Information. You don't want to let those people
exactly.
No way.
So, and just be personable and, knowledgeable at the workshops and ask for the consultation. Remember, you have to tell people what to do. You have to ask for that consultation.
And even in the webinars, there wouldn't be like a strong call to action.
Right.
You still need that call to action at the end.
Correct.
Even in a webinar.
Yes.
Because people need to know.
People need to be told what to do. So
they want that.
Right.
They really do.
So like say you wrap it up and you're like, thank you so much for coming. I really enjoyed getting to meet you. If you would like to sign up for a consultation, please fill out this form and give it to me at the end of the day, or so that you get your free consultation, or whichever way you're generating those contacts for consultations, or depending on how much team you have there, you could have an area in the back or something like that where they can write down their name and number or their contact if they want a consultation, or even better, if you have like your paralegal there, book the consultation right then and there.
Absolutely.
Because they have your calendar, they're managing your calendar, book it right there.
Yeah. And that way people, because that's when they're at their hottest for you, basically. That's when they feel the most urgent to take that next step with you is at your workshop. So absolutely have someone there booking those consultations if that's possible. Absolutely.
Right.
Because I do know that there are some solo attorneys out there who don't have someone.
But maybe your child or your wife or a friend would be willing to come and book those consultations for you. If you don't know what you're doing with Facebook ads or with your workshops, ask for help. And know that the money spent to ask for help is what will propel you forward. Because if you spend your time trying to figure out Facebook in a workshop, and your time is worth, I'm just going to throw out a random number, $350 an hour, you could have easily paid a marketing firm or someone to do your ads for you for that time that you lost, that you could have been billing out for your clients.
True.
So if you don't know how to do things, ask for help.
Liz, thank you so much for joining us.
You're so welcome.
And we have Jason here with us. He originally joined us from Las Vegas. He worked the Strip, but actually what Jason did in Las Vegas was that he built businesses from the ground up. And he is like a growth machine. He knows what it takes to go from the bottom to the top and how to get things really thriving in a pretty fast manner. And so he joined us, the team of Bambiz, to help us grow. So we have him here on the podcast, and he's going to talk about growth. So Jason, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, of course. So we're here in Mexico right now. We're on a week-long cruise. This is something that's exciting. In recent times, we've been crushing it for clients. We've been driving so much growth for them. But there's some people where narratively they told us that they were ready. But the growth happened so fast and so good for them that they've had to kind of pause. And even though like that is a smart business decision to take, is sometimes to reflect on a decision that you recently made. What you really want to do is you actually want to plan out for this growth. So the idea is that you want this ball to start going and rolling, and you want that momentum to keep going, because at the end of the day, if you don't have that momentum, you won't have the growth that you expect for your practice at the end of the day. One of the points that I want to talk about first is, before our clients ever get on the call with us, one of the things I encourage them a lot to do is to think about this one question: are you ready for that growth? Before you get on that call with me and you're talking to me about, okay, I want 50 people in a room, I want 100 people a month to come in, I'm doing an awesome presentation, I'm offering a great service, which you all are. You're offering something that is needed by a lot of people. You should be helping as many people as possible, but you're almost going to do a disservice to your community where you feel so much pressure because you haven't thought ahead. Maybe I'm taking on one new client a week, and now I'm thinking about going to 10 new clients a week.
Yeah, that's a big load.
Yeah.
That's like a little bit of butter over too much bread.
Yeah. And so at the end of the day, the idea is like, I want you to really marinate on the idea of like, can I take on new business? If the answer is yes, awesome, that's exciting. But the next thing is, how much more business can you take on?
That's such a good question, because of course every business wants to thrive. Of course you want to keep growing, but realistically, how much can we actually handle with the circumstances that we're in? Because I know a lot of our listeners, Jason, a lot of them are solopreneurs.
Yeah.
It's just them. It's just you in your office or even in your own home doing virtual stuff, wearing all of the hats, but you want to grow. But how much growth are we all ready for? That's a really good question.
Yeah. And so for these solopreneurs that are kind of managing their own practice, handling the calls, handling the reach out, doing the consultation, doing the practice after the fact, whatever the client's needs are, even you, more than anything, knowing how to be efficient with your time that you have is very important. When you ask this question, can I take on more load? And so the idea is that you want to start planning and structuring out. Hypothetically, let's say I'm only doing one client a week, and I say to myself, realistically, I think I can right now do two a week. That's great. That's double your traffic that you're doing.
Double the growth.
Yeah. And so, but we need to scale your growth accordingly. So but another question to ask is, could I in theory do more than 2 a week? And what processes can I implement, whether that's technological, whether that's maybe hiring virtual assistant work, whether that's thinking about efficient ways that fit within your current budget. And that's another thing, planning out your growth, is like, what budget do I have to work around right now? Is it possible for me to maybe even take on more than just one additional client a week? If I maybe sit and think a little bit more about creating a process. And so that's the next step. It's exciting that you're doubling what you're doing now, but could you quadruple if you just spent 30 minutes or an hour planning out this potential future for yourself? And in that process of planning this out, it starts to show you areas where, and we get complacent. That's like human nature. Stress is new experience, new this. At any time, that's always a stressor, but you become complacent after a while because you learn around the stress and things of that nature. The process is, are you managing your time properly? So time management is huge.
Man, you said something earlier that I just love. Everyone has 24 hours in a day, including Elon Musk.
Oh, yeah.
And I love it because you and I were BSing earlier about Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And how he's able to do all these things. But everybody has a starting point and everybody has 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
It's all about time management.
Of course. And so like time management is one of those things as you're planning out this growth.
There's something that you said earlier that I really want to go back to about structure. So let's say I'm an elder law attorney. I'm all by myself. I just started my own practice.
Congrats.
I just hired Bambiz. And
Wow.
thank you. I just hired Bambiz to fill up my workshops. And I want everyone to sign up with me. And guess what? Everyone does.
It happens a lot, guys. It happens a lot.
It's an overload. So let's say I'm that elder law attorney. I want to fill a room of 30 people and I want all 30 people to sign up with me. So what's like the structure?
Well, there's a lot, right? But some of the things you could do, like we said, time management, managing out your calendar for sure. Technology, is there...
Yeah, technology has boomed over the past year and you are our technology guy.
Yeah, I love it.
So I am an elder law attorney all by myself. How can I leverage ChatGPT and AI to help me work as fast as I can? Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
Because we do it here, but you are like the guy to talk to about that. So what would you want to tell me to help me be able to be ready for that growth using technology?
Well, let's think this through. Are you a good typer? Are you fast? Like, are you good typewriting skills? Great. You can start typewriting into ChatGPT, but a lot of people don't realize you can also dictate. So there's settings, and you can search this if you're using a Mac or if you're using a Windows device. There's accessibility features in your device for people that are unfortunately, they don't have the ability to use their hands. And so these technologies are built into our devices for people like that, but you can use them to your advantage. So one of those things is dictation. If you're a better talker and you're not pretty slow at typing, stop the typing. Take that on your own personal time, but instead blurt out what you want. And Jim's perfect at this. I love typing, but I'm gonna steal this from him. We recently were doing he had like an idea, and typing that out would have been like 500, 600 words, a lot. About 3 minutes of talking though, and he loves talking. I love talking. So he was like, let's try this. He's on a Mac, and so on Mac you could set a setting where you could double tap Control, and a little microphone pops up, and he starts just talking. And it's dictating all this stuff, and it's 600 words, and then he tells it, take these 600 words and organize the context of this information into what I need. And so now, boom, with the press of a button, his blurting out into the world literally became essentially a cleanly organized tool. And so that's one thing. AI is like a powerful tool, and it's something you should definitely be encouraged to utilize to, like, when it comes to email formats and how do I organize my time? And so that's one. Two, there's virtual assistants. Maybe local work is pretty expensive, or maybe you live in an area where finding workers, especially after the pandemic, it's been so challenging.
You're talking about Fiverr?
Or anything like that. Yeah, or Fiverr, there's Upwork, there's onlinejobs.ph, there's so many tools for finding virtual work. Think outside the box. We're in a digital world now. I can have a worker doing all these things, and they don't have to be located in my office. Like, Amy's in Idaho, I'm in Florida, but we can still collaboratively get a lot of work done because we don't need to be in an office together, but we can share our time in a virtual world. It's an excellent tool to have. So if you aren't doing that and you can see the opportunity and getting, building a team virtually as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So these are technological ways that you can also help yourself. And in the end, is an accountability aspect as well. Take note of what you want. Write it down. Say, right now this is where I'm at, but in a month, 2 months, a year from now, I would like to be here. Write that out. See it. Visualize your goals. Set these goals in mind.
So instead of just saying, I want all 30 people to sign up, I need to think ahead and be like, okay, can I really handle 30 new clients? Jason, thank you so much for joining me for this growth, because this is something that every business owner needs to think about, including us here at Bambiz.
Yeah.
To just ask these questions and get the ball rolling. And what I loved most about what you said, this is beautiful, and a lot of people don't think about this. Get an outsider's perspective.
Yeah.
Ask somebody on the outside and tell them what you're going through, and just kind of get their feel for it to see if you really can take on this amount. Because obviously we all want to grow, but can we actually do it? So Jason, thank you so much for joining us.
No, Amy, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for listening to the Elder Law Growth Podcast, the place to be for all things marketing for elder law and estate planning law firms. If you liked this podcast, please leave us a review wherever you are listening to this podcast. If you'd like to outsource your marketing to our team, go to bambiz.net and book a free call with us today.